Hello and welcome back to Seaside Garage. This is the day after the previous video on the Volvo. And before I start work on it, because the brake parts for the rear has arrived, I just want to address one thing, because in the previous video I made a little quiz. I did something wrong and then I wanted to see if any of you guys spotted it. And you did, and I'm so proud of you. Well, I have a little bit of a problem with the numbers from time to time, and I did the adjustment on the clutch and I misread. I measured the length between the bracket and the arm when it was not deployed and when it was deployed, the clutch, and then the difference in there should be within a centimeter from 3 centimeters. Only it was not a centimeter, it was a millimeter. And I was 1 centimeter off. That means I was 9 millimeters over the specifications. And I just misread that. So I would probably have noticed once I started driving it, because I do presume that the clutch possibly wouldn't even disengage. I don't know. But I'm just going to redo that. And thanks for the comment. I'm going to do that firstly and then start work on the rear brakes. I'm not going to film it because it's just the same as I did before. This time I'm just going to hit the target of 3 centimeters within 1 millimeter. So the clutch is now in adjustment within that millimeter, so that should be good. Now let's go ahead and fix the rear brakes. And what I have done so far is that yesterday, before I stopped working on it, I sprayed down that connection right there. And hopefully I can get that to loosen up, because even though the brake line is decent, I like to change it because it was really cheap and it just makes it easier when I change the wheel cylinder. But the brake lines are the original steel ones, which is very rare in my parts, but they seem to be in great nick, which is also a surprise, but that rust protection is saving it. Let's hope that penetrating fluid has done something and I can loosen it up. Without rounding it off. Yeah! And it is turning without turning the line. Ah, that's great. That's nice. So then I can go ahead and concentrate on those rusty bolts in there. Oh, wow. So far so good. There's another one over here. I don't think you can see that. I'm just going to see if I can loosen up that one as well. Yep. This is almost too good to be true. And now that I have loosened up the junction in here, the union in here, I'm going to clamp off the hose and then I'm just going to cut it. That way I won't spill too much. I'm not worried about spilling the fluid because I'm going to change it, but I don't want it to go completely dry. So I'm just going to do like that and then cut it right there. I really have a love-hate relationship with that rust protection stuff, because this car survived so well because of it. But tools looking like this, and it's just get this on your skin or anything else and it's just staying there forever. But I'm not gonna complain. I'm just going to clean the back side of this. And then install this new one. And a new fresh brake line. There we go. This car is a joy to work on so far. I really haven't, except the massive amount of undercarriage protection, but it just feels so nice to acknowledge this car and give it a new chance. And it's gonna be a great driver, great daily, great new classic, whatever it's going to be. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to sell it or keep it. I do know that I will need to sell something soon, but if it's going to be this, I don't know. So I'm just going to go ahead and refit the brake hardware and do the same on the other side. So there we go, this is back together. And I have mentioned before that I really like to work on this car, but this brake system, it might just be the first time, but it has really been a struggle to get everything back on. But it's fixed. And the same is the case on the other side. I have changed the wheel cylinder and the hose back here also. So what I want to do now is to bleed the system and change the brake fluid. And what I'm going to do is to remove the cap and suck as much old fluid out as possible. It is not looking bad though. But now I'm just going to do it. And that removed most of the brake fluid, but there is still some in the back of the chamber. But I'm going to fill it up and then I'm going to start bleeding it and make sure to bleed enough so that I know that all fluid in the system is new. Because it doesn't make much sense to change the fluid up here if the old fluid is still in the lines, because it's the lines that you want it to be removed from. I'm going to fill it all the way to the very, very top. And this is my bleeder. With this I can apply pressure to the system, and I do know how this works. You are supposed to fill it with brake fluid, that way it will fill the system when it needs fluid. I don't like to use it that way because one thing is it will overfill the system, so you have to take some out. And also this will just become so disgusting and you will suddenly have old brake fluid in this. And I just like to use it cleanly and then make sure it doesn't run dry, because when you do it like this, you risk suddenly running dry up here and then you will have to start all over. But to be honest, that is never a problem. So I just like this to be, well, not clean, but cleanish. And having it full of brake fluid won't keep it clean for long. Then I'm just going to apply some pressure. And the bleeding sequence on the Volvo 440 is left rear, right front, right rear, left front, on the non-ABS models at least. So I'm going to do that. And honestly, I should have put on the drums before doing this, because now there's pressure in the system and I don't want these to pop out. So I'm just going to undo the pressure and fit the drums. And then let's just start to bleed it. I'm just going to let it run until I'm sure that all the fluid is new and fresh. And there is no air bubbles in the system, of course. There we go. That looks to be really clean. And then the right front. And if the car had ABS, I would let it drain for even longer than I'm doing right now. But this is very simple setup, so it doesn't have to drain that long. That was a chunk of something. That's nice to get out. Probably something in the bleeder nipple, to be honest. It looked like undercarriage protection. There we go. This is now clean and fresh fluid. I'm just going to add a bit of fluid before doing the last one. And there we go. The system is now fully bled with fresh fluid, and the brakes should be ready for an MOT. With the brakes done and the clutch done, that marks most of the mechanical work that I need to do on this car. There is still some lighting that I need to look at, and there is an unknown about a possible too high pollution level. I really don't think so, but there is a possibility for that. But what I want to go ahead and start tackling now is the rust. I'm not going to weld anything in this video, but I want to remove the plastic and reveal the amount of work needed. I did take a look at the rear end in a previous video, but it is time to remove it all because this can hide so much stuff. So I'm going to remove the body kit. So I'm going to start at the front to remove that panel and then remove the plastic down the side, because I know I have rust back there I need to fix. Part of me would just like to let that be, that plastic cover, because I can't see anything. And it's a bit of a Schrodinger's moment. But I'm going to remove this at least, and this one, to take a look underneath. There we go. Let's take a look a little closer. This is completely perfect. There's nothing to worry about in there. Ah, that's so great to see. Even the edges out here is perfect. Very nice. But it has come loose from the panel. It needs to be reattached proper. But that's not a big deal. But it is actually not screwed in right. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the screws down the line and then remove the entire thing. So when Skill sent me this thing, I honestly thought it was a little bit useless. At least for me, it's probably fine for household stuff, but actually I have been using it way more than I was expecting to do, and I think for this instance it will be perfect. Haha! Yeah. I think that did the trick. So it's time to reveal whether it's a horror show or if it's decent. I think it's down here, and I already know that from the previous video. Now let's find out if there is more. It's coming apart a little bit up here though. I can see some rust on the plastic. Ah, it's not bad. Really, really decent. There's this. That was where the screw no longer was attached. And then there is the stuff in the back that I pretty much saw in the previous video. It's just going to be exciting to see if there is any rust in the inner part of it, which is the structural part. I doubt it because of the way it looks, but I don't know yet. Take a look at the spot welds. It's not the most precise machine they used. Even a double spot right there and just a bit all over the place. I will go ahead and do the same on the other side. Oh yeah. Rust flakes at the same spot as the other side, I can see. Why is it still stuck there? Yeah. Pretty much the same. I mean, pretty much the cheapest car I own in the fleet. This is really decent. There is some there. The inner structure though seems okay. It's difficult to see on the camera, but I will also have to cut it open to check. But it is really not bad, and this is the worst side. I better take off of this just to make sure nothing is hiding back there. No problems. This is definitely also a place that cars likes to rust, but it is just perfect once again. This car is in brilliant condition. Well, it isn't, but in my world it is. So this is going to be all for this video. In the next video, it will be the rust repairs. And then I need to tackle a little bit of cosmetic rust on the bodywork and some paint. That will be in the next video, I think. Anyway, thanks for watching and see you in the next one.